Welcome to You, the People. In this program, we will provide you with interviews and information from and about the people who affect your lives. Our program may include conversations with candidates, elected or appointed officials, town department heads, and more. We will delve into the kitchen table issues that make a difference in our towns and region. I'm your host, Julie Thompson. Let's get started. Welcome once again to You, the People. And again, I get to be joined by Joan Meschino, who is the rep for
Hingham, Hull, and Cohasset.
There you go, Hingham, Hull, and Cohasset.
3rd Plymouth District.
All right, so let's go right into the fact that it was budget time, and it concluded, almost concluded, right?
It's done. So I guess we haven't been in here in a while.
Yeah, you haven't.
It's always wonderful to be back with you. Yes. So as we were coming into the end of session into to July, we were doing our second budget as part of our 2-year session.
Yep.
And we wrapped everything up right on July 1st in time for the start of the new fiscal year.
Yay.
It's a good budget. It's a budget that invests in people, in the economy, in services, and it's continuing a lot of the strong practices that we've had for budgeting for the Commonwealth, and money into the rainy day fund, things like that. Money into workforce, into our businesses and things like that. So overall, I have to say, I thought it was a really good budget. And it's a budget that takes care of people.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to have seen a little bit more funding for DCR, that's Department of Recreation and Conservation and Recreation. And, that's hugely important to places like Hingham with Wampatuck State Park,
right,
and all of the Harbor Islands and Hull, Nantasket
right.
Beach.
Yep.
But that's an agency that always makes do with less,
right,
and
gets it done.
Yeah. But I'm still a member of the Metropolitan Beaches Commission, and so we'll continue to advocate for through our Better Beaches programs, through that mechanism, for the funding that we need to make sure that we continue to have a beautiful district and really enjoy all of those spaces that are outdoors.
And you do. I mean, Hingham, Hull, Cohasset are just gorgeous towns.
I'm sorry, I have the most beautiful
You do have the most beautiful district. There's just no doubt
hands
about
down.
it. Yeah, hands down. Okay, let's talk about the at the end of session, the bills that were passed. There was Alzheimer's and dementia care, primary care, Medal of Fidelity, and limb loss. Let's talk about those.
So as everyone knows, through the legislative process, so we're bicameral. I'm sure Senator O'Connell will be in soon. And so we take things up on the House side. Sometimes we take things up on the Senate side first. And each of us will pass bills, and then it has to go to the other side to reconcile any differences. So some of the things that were important to the House, one had to do with Alzheimer's and dementia care.
Yep.
And that was House 5693. If you want to look it up, you can always go to malegislature.gov and look up all your favorite bills, and you can create an account there and actually follow all of the bills throughout the session.
Which is nice. And it sends you notifications.
It sends you notifications,
which is really cool,
when things are happening, things are moving. So I always recommend that to people who are municipal and state law nerds like myself. But anyway, what was important about that was that it was really aimed on strengthening the support, dementia care, and the supports that come to families and to caregivers. So like things like expanding workforce training, or enhancing public health benefits, things like that, that really is meant to uplift those caregivers statewide.
Right.
We have an aging district.
Absolutely.
Hull is already 50% gray.
Yeah.
Hingham and Cohasset and Scituate are on track. And are aging, and you're seeing this is a great space for places like Linden Ponds and all of the long-term care and the memory care. We have a lot of effort of keeping people aging in their homes and things like that. But this is the particularly hard thing to get at. Is this kind of workforce? So it's particularly important to our people. So so this was a really good bill to now it'll be in for reconciliation. The other bill that I just thought was hugely important was around primary care.
Yep.
So I'm sure all of our residents are aware it's very hard to get a primary care doctor
physician.
now.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
It's impossible to get a physician. And so what the House and the Senate have done is to really look at what investments could be done to really unlock that as a potential career source to bring people in to support and to retain the physicians and the workforce that are there. And so again, it's really about investing in that workforce to improve the affordability by lowering some premiums and different things like that for prescription drugs, increasing the accountability across the healthcare system. But really, I think the speaker is really looking to do is to get at what the reimbursement is, and so that over time, over 3 years, they're going to stage it to increase the reimbursement that those physicians get, and to make it more of an attractive field to enter and an attractive field to stay in.
So is that state by state what physicians get?
So yes. So you have reimbursement.
Right.
So there's public reimbursement for things like Medicare.
Right.
So when you become a senior, and that's the
Yep.
lowest paying form of reimbursement.
Primary cares don't necessarily want a lot of patients on Medicare because they get the least amount of reimbursement, correct?
Right.
I mean, just
So
from dollars and cents.
You've got
Yes.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a real tension there.
Right.
So that's what they're doing is they're trying to, in the state of Massachusetts, increase what their reimbursement rates are.
And how do you think that the state of Massachusetts can help young people decide to go into that field? Because I've heard that the amount of people graduating from medical facilities that want to be primary cares has gone down and down and down.
Well,
how do you get that incentive back?
And that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Is if they're being reimbursed more, then the salaries will follow from that. The supports, the benefits, the overall investment by healthcare systems in primary care practices. Right now, what you see is a shift going towards procedures, because procedures pay more.
They pay a lot.
And so, and listen. Everybody's entitled to make money. We want people to make a good living. We want them to be supported. We want them to choose this as their profession.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Medal of Fidelity, what is that?
Oh, I put this one on there because Third Plymouth, Hingham, Hall, and Cohasset have such a tremendous support for both our veterans and for our current service members.
Yep.
And what this was, it's just a license plate. It's a small thing, but it's for qualifying next of kin to a fallen service member are eligible for this Medal of Fidelity.
Oh, that's nice.
And a license plate. And so I put it on there because I just thought it was just a special thing that it just speaks to our pride in our young people that step forward in military service and actually go off to serve, but also for all of our veterans and most importantly, their families, right? It is our service members and their families, our veterans and their families. We all do it together.
That's wonderful.
And then, of course, you remember that we did pass, Senator O'Connor and I worked on this together around suicide awareness
for veterans.
And service members as well.
Yep.
And that was a very special, poignant moment when we were able to watch the governor sign that bill. And it was a really healing moment for a lot of the families who had brought it forward to us and advocated. So I know they seem like small things, but I'm hoping that they have impactful,
not to those families.
things.
And for anyone who knew.
Well, the Particas in particular.
I mean, it's a small world, but it's a big world. It's a big people world. That they affect.
So
limb loss.
Well,
this is important because prosthetics and they've come so far. Right?
It's like science fiction.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's important to a few people in our district. And so I just wanted to mention it here because it was a few people in the district had brought this forward to make sure that I knew that it was there to help, so that's one of the things I always like to say is that, if there's something that's important to you or you think is interesting or relevant, especially to the district, you bring it forward to myself, to the senator. Let us know. There's 7,000 bills got filed last year.
Right.
You cannot read them all. I'm only on a handful of committees. You just can't know about them all.
Right.
So, be our eyes and ears and bring things forward to us. And we can't do everything for everybody and advocate for everything, but something like that was
easy.
so
it's
important.
To put it, right. Put
for
it in.
people,
Right.
For people. So, we like to hear from people. And that's why we put it on there to highlight to you today.
Again, like you said, it's always people centric.
Yes.
All of the bills,
yes.
Especially the ones that mean so much to you. Okay. So conference committee reports that were adopted. What is a conference committee? And what does it adopted mean?
So as part of the legislative session, we get sworn in, we get elected, we get sworn in, we file our bills.
Okay.
And all bills go to a committee and they get a hearing. And once it's had a hearing, then the advocacy starts in earnest and you're looking for a path to bring things forward to the floor. So things will come forward both to the Senate and to the House. It doesn't matter which comes first. And then we swap them over to the other branch. Invariably, if we do something on the House, our Senate partners will improve upon it and vice versa. And that means you have two forms of a bill that have been passed. And so what you need to do is, some of them are tiny changes and they can kind of just work it out. But more often than not, there's more significant changes in there and they have to be reconciled.
Okay.
They go to a conference committee. And what will happen is they will spend the next few weeks, months. They have until January 5th to work it out and to bring it forward to a full vote of both chambers.
Okay.
It's just a straight up and down vote. No more amendments. No more debate. No more,
because you've already had that.
We've already
worked out
that.
the differences.
So this is just where they've worked out the differences and you just say yes or no.
Okay.
So we have, I think, 12 bills in conference committee right now. Some of them were really kind of interesting and good. I met with some students earlier in the spring and talked about this one. It was cell phones and social media bans in schools. So the idea is that from bell to bell, right? From the first bell when you get there to the last bell when everyone's dismissed. Right. No cell phones.
You can't use your phone. Sorry.
Yes.
Right.
But we also wrapped in there some things around social media. And I think that's really the piece that people are looking at is how's the best way to pull back on young people on social media.
What is your opinion on? I know a few countries have passed some legislation that under 16 you can't have a social media account,
and that's what this is proposing. So we've looked at a few of the countries, but what they were really looking at was other states that have done that. So. There was some pretty big differences between the House and Senate versions. So it'll be interesting to see what comes forward. But we were also having that conversation at the same time that we were discussing data privacy for everybody. And looking at how companies can collect, mine, your data and how they can use that for themselves versus selling it to third parties and things like that. And so what the House and Senate both took it up a little differently, but what the House really did was sort of looking around how do you minimize that data use? Right. Because we all are vendors, we're all customers of companies, we all share information so that we can avail ourselves of those services, buy things, go out to dinner, whatever. But then it becomes a question of what else can they do with that information.
Did you include AI in this discussion?
So AI is a hot topic.
Hugely hot topic.
It comes up a little bit in some of these kinds of things, but there's a couple of big bills out there on AI. And I think you're going to see, or I'm hoping you're going to see that both House and Senate will tackle AI a little bit more directly next session, in the coming session.
Do you think that'll be a state-by-state thing, or do you think that there should be a national conversation about
Yeah,
the,
it should.
the
I really,
guardrails on
I
AI.
really do think it should be a larger national conversation. But in the absence of that happening at the national level, I think what you're starting to see is states take it up. But right, that's representative government, right?
Absolutely.
So you see the states as the incubators. They take these things up, and then eventually, if there's too much inconsistency or there's really different approaches,
Right.
then you'll start to see the federal government step in, hopefully. But yeah, so there's a lot of discussion around machine learning.
Right.
And the one piece that we did do, which actually circling back to our discussion about healthcare, was that there would be no machine or AI decision making around what's covered care. So a lot of times you put in, so we've all been to the doctors and they've recommended a drug or a prescription, or a prescription or a procedure or a next step. And it has to be approved. Governor Healy has a task force on is trying to streamline some of those things to make it quicker, more certain, less expensive, to really take some of the delay out of that. And one of the things was no AI around decision making. Right.
But not necessarily around historical background or
yes,
because
exactly.
I would think AI would be very useful, like especially for what you guys do.
Yes.
It could help you rewrite a bill.
Well, so if you really think about AI is really what we always used to call machine learning.
Yeah.
So if you have someone looking at like incidence of cancer or research data or predictive models, that's all amazing things that machine learning AI can do.
Absolutely.
But when you actually come down to decision making about who's covered for something or whether those kinds of like more interpersonal, there needs to be someone just looking at it as a final thing and making a decision. Yeah. That's where they're drawing the line. But AI, I think, has really got a lot of tremendous potential for all of us.
Right. Especially in research, I would think in medical research.
Medical research. Well,
huge.
I had been down at Woods Hole and heard a whole presentation about looking at historic information about drought versus rainy seasons. And looking back at all that history, they are able to have a pretty realistic predictive model about when we're going to be in drought, when we're going to experience rainy seasons. And it was just, to be able to crunch that kind of data and really to look at it without a biased eye really becomes very interesting about what they can do.
Exactly.
So, and I just mentioned that one because, of course, we've been in drought for the whole year at this point in the game.
Exactly.
So these things can be really integrated as part of them.
But if used properly.
And, kids at school, you have to learn how to develop your own thought and your own judgment and your own decision making, your own vetting, and let's not lose, our creativity.
Yeah, and your own ability to debate.
And your own ability to debate and
don't
to
have
listen.
Don't have a machine debate for you.
That's right. You have to be able to listen and adapt.
Right. So, those interpersonal skills, which we cannot let those go.
We cannot let those go.
Several of your priority bills. Home rules.
Oh, so the home rules.
Talk about what is a home rule? Because a lot of people don't know what a home rule is.
A home rule petition is something that comes from the towns itself. We had one from, the one I'll use example of is when the town of Hingham brought forward its active living center proposal.
Yep.
They needed us to do a home rule petition around the land swaps that they were proposing so that they could do that. So it's just a tool that there are just some decisions the town meeting makes that require the legislator's approval, and one of them happens to be about land use. And the reason that was important in this instance is because it involved some of it involved conserved land.
Conservation land, right.
So in that instance, Kingham had to put aside conserved land of a larger space, of more actual economic value, of more conservation value,
Yep.
right? Which of course they did. And although that project didn't move forward at town meeting this time, that's all still there. And
Right.
it's just an
So
important.
if it comes up again, the home rule's already been done. You don't have to redo that.
You don't have to
Okay.
redo that. And that's that's something that the senator and I, we take up. So yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Veteran and Military Suicide Awareness and Remembrance Day. That was
Oh,
just
yes.
such a wonderful thing that you did.
Yeah, that was inspired by the Patika family.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes a brave mom to say, I'm not going to let anybody else lose their son to suicide.
No other family will go through this.
Yeah. So,
A heartwarming story. I recommend everybody read up on this bill and read up on the history of it and why it happened.
For such a heartbreak, they really turned it around and
they did,
and made something really wonderful out of it. And it's really about changing culture, and services are there, and people, both our service members and our veterans, just need to we're here, reach out,
and their families need to know this is available.
It's all available.
Help is there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
A notice to council, which was H267. What is that about?
Oh, so
I love your reaction.
Well, it's funny because what people find interesting as a few families have brought to me forward around care and protection. So when children are taken into DCF custody,
taken out of a home,
okay,
for some reason, whatever reason,
and they're taken into custody, and of course, the lion's share of the families get services, and the goal is to reinstate a child's back into the family, into the custody, if at all possible.
Yep.
But it can be some time before children land back in with their home. And so what they do is they go into these foster care situations, but even that can take time. And what we were learning was just a family brought this forward. What we were learning was that kids will bounce around from temporary foster care to foster care.
Right.
And no one knows where they are, including schools.
Yeah.
And all children have the right to come back to those schools unless there's a reason not to, because that is the trusted relationships.
That's their consistency.
Absolutely. Yes, that's
absolutely.
Right. So all this does is it requires DCF to notify the council, the attorney, for those children.
And that should seem like a no-brainer.
Oh, I know. Really, honestly, why did that need to be a bill? But
exactly.
there you have it.
Yeah.
So
okay,
good. And it's part of a larger look at some of the protection for the process and procedures around care and protection. But that was a small piece that was there. And there's a few other things that we had around keeping kids together, around cultural competency and things like that. Think of it this way. It's just small changes to the system that put the child front and center in our decision-making process to minimize any trauma.
Right.
Because the way kids look at it is that, no matter how untenable a home life might be, it's known.
That's right. It's still their home.
It's still their home.
That's right.
And so we want to minimize any trauma about, it's very traumatic to take a child from the home.
Right.
So it's around minimizing trauma.
Oh, that's wonderful. The climate safe building.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
here you go again.
Well, it's funny. It just, like I said, what people find interesting, we file a lot of legislation around energy, environment, and climate, but also most people don't even realize around the care and protection work as well. But we also have some on housing and different things. And but it's interesting to me who finds what's interesting. So the climate safe buildings made that into, as part of a provision, it has to do with, it's really nerdy. It has to do with the Board of Building Regulations and Standards, BBRS, to consider climate risk as part of their, again, why do you have to say these things out loud? But it's all part of aligning around our impact to climate, our resilience work, a much larger bill. So the Mass Ready Act is actually the environmental bond bill.
Okay.
That should be familiar to everyone in Hingham because you are green communities, and it's those bond bills, those spending bills that make investments in things like the municipal vulnerability, which Hingham has done all of that planning.
Right.
Now we're looking to spend the money on projects, right? It authorizes those kinds of spending on Green Communities Act, all of the money that's come in, spending like that.
Yep.
And of course, for Hingham, that's a huge priority is both investment in our environment, investment in our diverse ecological systems, right? And to have that resilience, that sustainability in the face of climate change. For example, all of the drought we've been facing and like the Weir River and things like that. So, we had the Mass Ready Act got voted and is in conference committee right now. The drought management bill is there on the Senate side, so hopefully that'll come across on the House side as well. But it's a big bill with a lot of good policy and some good spending in there, so that's important for our district.
Okay, and it's important that every state and every country take this seriously.
Oh, I agree. And a lot of the things that you see us doing, the state of Massachusetts was very forward-looking. And in 2008, they did the Global Warming Solutions Act, which made the first commitments to climate mitigation and reducing our carbon footprint and things like that.
Right.
I was actually able to get the 2050 roadmap to net zero passed. That was an implementation bill to make that bill work more effectively in all sectors and to align all of our goals. And that's really what you see a lot of these bills doing is the policy that's needed to align and to activate things like, Hingham Light Plan, as I think it's well on its way to it's exceeded its goals for green energy already. They're doing a lot of work on resilience. They're doing a lot of work on electric vehicles and decarbonizing buildings. So all of this is happening at the local levels, and a lot of these bills are the state, providing frameworks and structures and funding for the things that you're doing. And I hope when
somebody uses AI to say what states are doing really well at climate mitigation, Massachusetts shows up.
Yes, Massachusetts is absolutely doing that. In fact, we're one of the bills that we filed on climate financing innovation, a climate bank, made it so it didn't get passed outright. They had put together a task force that they wanted us to do just a little bit more research, justifying those investments. But that was another bill that I got into, the Mass Ready Act, and to really unlock all of the private funding, all of so we always talk about the public dollars. Those are things like outright grants or tax credits, but we also need to be bringing to the table private money.
Absolutely.
And, a lot of times, banks won't lend because, they're rightly worried about risk. And that's really what this is all about is assuming the first risk so that they can bring parties together to make the investments.
And this all costs money.
All costs money. But like I always say, we are investing. Look at what Hingham, Hull, Cohasset, Situate's been doing. We are investing in our infrastructure right now. We're building buildings, we're paving roads, we're doing seawalls. I mean, when you really look at the work we're doing, you want to be spending and investing that money in your future, not in the past and the old way of doing things. You want to be looking to your future. And quite frankly, that's all about investing in the green tech and the green climate sector. So circling back where we started on the budget and the fact that we continue to have a solid economy. That's one of the big reasons is because of the investments that have been going into the climate tech sector and that innovation economy that we have. So it all ties together. It's all
it is. It's full circle.
Real jobs for real people.
Excellent. Now, I do want to ask you about another bill, which is near and dear to my heart, is the community media centers. Is something that has been like here, Harbor Media. I used to work at PAC TV, which is now the local scene. It's local media companies that service, they're all nonprofits now, that serve a certain amount of towns. And what we do is we bring the hyper local news and information and what's good and good to know to the people, the residents of those towns. It was funded primarily in the beginning from cable television revenues, which is way back when cable TV was the only thing you had. Clearly, people have cut the cord, and the funding for this is going downhill tremendously.
Correct.
So, what was the bill, the streaming bill as we called it, that you were very much involved with right from the beginning? How has it progressed, and where does it stand now?
So, most simply stated, the bill creates a stable revenue source for community media centers and their municipalities by adding a de minimis, a small fee, the same fee that we paid when you had cable service, onto streaming services. And the bill is forward-looking. So as technology advances and we find more and different new ways to obtain our entertainment media, the idea is that these companies are still connecting with Massachusetts residents. They're still finding their customers. They're still using all of the public rights of ways. So we just updated the existing bill, the existing framework, to include the new tech. And the idea is that as you're paying that fee in, you probably won't even notice it, because now with all of these different apps and the different streaming services, like Netflix just has a nationwide price. So I'm not sure how they will spread that cost out, but it's a cost of doing business. And all we're saying is we're just adding this small fee. Could be up to 5%, like we pay on the cable.
On cable, right.
And it's just meant to create that nexus with
and it funds community media centers.
Community media. So it would be collected at the state level. It would come straight into the municipality. In places like Hull, which has its own department, it would just stay right there with the community. Places like Hingham and Norwell, it would go out through the enterprise fund. It would go out through your contract to support all the fantastic work that you do.
Yeah. So where does it stand?
So the bill is still alive. So the formal session ended on July 31st, but any bill that had been acted on by either the House or Senate and is in Ways and Means or third reading is still alive.
Okay.
We tried to bring that forward as part of the Economic Development Bond Bill. And so first of all, I have to say thank you because our community media centers were fabulous. I said, can you all reach out to your state rep and to your senators and ask them to co-sponsor? And we got an unprecedented 118 sponsors, which shows that we have really socialized this, that people support it, they understand it.
Right.
And a lot of my colleagues called into leadership and said, we want you to seriously take this up. And boy, did we get play. They were very close to coming forward and actually adopting that. There was a little language that they were uncomfortable with. That is what happens as part of any natural legislative process. And so we're going to continue that conversation with them. But boy, we came within a cat's whisker. So this is, we'll get that feedback from them, and you'll probably see some language changes in it. I'm going to keep quietly pushing. Yeah,
you have been a huge advocate for years and years and years.
So, because technically we could still pass it, although at this late stage it seems unlikely. But but we'll continue to have that dialogue with them. And when I say I'll be pushing, what I'm going to be pushing for now is to make sure that it's part of the agenda going into next session. And we will absolutely refile it. And quite frankly, this has been a tremendous grassroots effort. I know people think we can just get in there and say, hey, this is what we want to pass. But it does. It has to originate outside with people pulling together, vetting, making sure that it's thoughtfully done, timely, relevant, and very well vetted. Because that's real money.
And most people really don't understand when they watch like their local selectmen's meeting or a basketball game or the graduation or something happening at the senior center within their town.
That's the money.
A lot of people don't realize that well, that just comes from the community media center. That must be paid for by the taxes.
Well, I
it's
mean,
not.
Even think about like 4th of July. You
Yeah,
come
the parade,
down, and
right.
the parade comes down
Yeah.
into the square,
Yeah.
and in there is Harbor Media,
Yeah.
filming the whole thing, interviewing everybody,
Right.
leading
Right.
off and setting the tenor of the tone. So it's celebrating Revolution 250th.
Exactly.
So it really is, and that's
It's important.
Just
It's
one
important.
small.
Right.
I love that you guys do trainings and
Yeah.
take students.
Yeah. Harbor
and-
Media
yeah.
is amazing. It's an
Yes.
amazing organization. It
It
truly
really
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're kind of basically out of time. So
Coming up
when
on time
people
again.
want to talk about, or they want to see what you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, things like the 4th of July and the Rev 250.
So we're always we try not to post too much. We're always posting on Facebook and Instagram,
Yep.
and occasionally on Twitter.
Yep.
So please follow us, like us, and check out what we're posting. We try to keep it to like 3 posts a week,
Yep.
so we're not inundating your feeds. But there's also opportunities to go to our website, joanmeschino.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, and what you'll see us do is give a more detailed recap than you might see on our social media. That's kind of day to day. And then we're also posting what we're calling the Meschino Minute.
I love those.
I don't know how they talked me into that.
No, they're good.
But people really like them. And
Yeah.
what we ask is, send us a system-wide question, or a district-wide question.
Right.
And we'll take them up, and from time to time. And mostly people have been asking about the same things you're asking
Yeah.
about, which is, tell me what a conference committee is. What's
Right.
the budget? End of session.
Right. What does all this mean?
What does all
Right.
this mean? And we have interns, and we try to highlight them as well. And
Right.
we had some wonderful young students, both high school students and college students
yeah.
from Hingham, Hull, and Cohasset. And so we're doing a lot, and come check us out from time to time.
And you do have office hours.
So yes, we have office hours every Monday somewhere in the district. We rotate.
And people need to know that they can go and talk to you about anything.
Oh,
right?
yes. I had office hours today in Hull at their senior center. Next week, it will be in the afternoon in Hingham at the library.
Okay.
We do them in Cohasset. We do them at Linden Ponds. But I will just say, please do not hesitate to reach out if you need us more urgently.
Yeah.
We are here to help you navigate whatever it is, the handicap placard at the RMV or unemployment. We see a lot of people filing for unemployment.
Right. They just need help. Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of housing instability, a lot of food insecurity.
Yeah.
But if it occurs to you to call us, just call 617-722-2092. Jane will answer, and or email me at joan.meschino@mahouse.gov. Please don't wait,
Right.
because if we can handle something or get started on something,
You do it right
sooner,
away.
Do it
Yeah,
right away.
right.
Constituent services
Yeah.
is our number one priority,
And-
and it is the thing that we always do first.
Yes, and you do it really well. And Jane is your new person because Harrison,
Yes, Harrison.
who I've known for many years, has left us. How come?
Well,
It's a good thing for
I
him.
can't give them raises. I can't give them bonuses. I can't
Yeah.
give them titles. So these tend to be, I have attracted over the years many smart, talented,
Yeah.
really vivacious, vibrant,
Yeah.
kind young people. And these young professionals are amazing. I cannot do my work without them.
Right.
So if you do happen to call my office and you talk to them, please say thank you.
Yes.
But I have 2 aides, and so Harrison has left. He found a really cool, interesting job up in Maine. So
Good for
we
him.
wish him
Yep,
well.
absolutely.
And, but Jane Fulton is still there, and she's fantastic.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah. So equally,
Excellent.
and I'm hoping the speaker will let us rehire. So we'll see.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. That
All
he
right. So
lets
we'll
us
talk
keep
again
going.
in a few months when we get
Fantastic.
closer to November and all of that and what that will entail.
Anytime. Always a
Okay.
pleasure to be in here
Okay.
with you.
Okay. This has been Julie Thompson along with Joan Meschino. And this has been You the People. Till next time.